we are going to officially open our public hearing at 6:10. We apologize for the delay with going a little bit over with our policy meeting. So we're excited this evening to present what many of our residents in our community have seen through our Hive publications and on social media and other avenues, our capital improvement project, which will be voted on December 10th. Next week on Tuesday from 6 to 9 in our operations building here on the main campus. And what makes this project unique is that it is ultimately a culmination of a decade's worth of research and study, planning and preparation from the current Board of Education as well as previous boards and stakeholder committees that have really looked at what it is that we can do better at here in the Baldwinsville Central School District to provide higher quality instructional, extracurricular, fine and performing arts and athletic opportunities for students. And so we're excited that this multi-year plan is being presented to voters in a way that allows us to continue to grow and to build upon the great things that we have going on in this district. So when we look at this overall multi-year project, you'll see our final configuration. What is unique about this plan, this multi-year plan, is it does force a reorganization of grade levels across the district to better maximize and create efficiencies within our instructional program and our facilities across the district. And so you see here, what is unique is that this multi-year plan addresses every single building. The configuration that you'll see in this plan allows for Baker High School to remain the grades 10 through 12 building. It allows for an expansion at Durkee Junior High School for grades 7 through 9. Ray Middle School gets transformed into an upper elementary or intermediate school housing grades 4 through 6. And then our elementary schools move from grades PK to 5 to grades PK to 3. And I want to point out there, it does say Eldon or Van Buren because of the financing and the construction and the maximizing of our maximum cost allowances for New York State. In state aid, we're only able to complete one of those buildings in its entirety. That being said, there is work being done in every building through this multi-year plan. So when all is said and done, 8 years down the road, 10 years down the road, we will have this configuration that you see on the screen in front of you. We'll have 5 elementary schools just like we have now. We'll have the intermediate school or upper elementary school being Ray. Durkee will be the junior high school, and the senior high school will stay at Baker. So what are some of the benefits to this reorganization and this multi-year plan? Number one, we felt it was important as a district leadership team and Board of Education to make sure that we were giving access to our 7th grade students. They experience their secondary age students, and having them on our main campus was a priority in all of the work that went into this plan. They'll have access to more enhanced coursework and learning pathways and options because they will be in a secondary building as opposed to the building that they're in right now, which is not the case. That is a middle school. Having access to fine and athletics, performing arts on our main campus with all of our other teams and groups and clubs and advisors really will create a more enriched experience for our 7th grade students. Also, this plan allows for our 4th graders and our 5th graders to come together sooner as opposed to the current configuration being that where they come together for the first time as 6th graders. So it allows our students at that intermediate level to experience themselves as a class and cohort of students having access to intermediate level curriculum in the same building. It also gives us the opportunity to free up space in our elementary schools to expand and enhance our universal pre-K program. We know that is not going away. It's an initiative both at the state level and at the federal level. and we see this as an opportunity to create space so that all of our universal pre-K students can access the instructional program if they want. Right now we do have students that are turned away because of space issues and with our current configuration that we have now. And we have, based on our current attendance zones, students that are unable to participate in universal pre-K in their home school zone. And so naturally, as part of this reorganization, this will force the district to look at attendance zones and to more appropriately align based on our population density across the district. From a staff perspective, some of the benefits of this multi-year plan allows us to make sure that our teaching certifications are more appropriately aligned within the buildings that with like peers, and having content area teachers together at the secondary level, working with students at that grade 7, 8, and 9 is a huge benefit to our staff. From the instructional standpoint, for our intermediate teachers, our grades 4 and 5 teachers, to have them in the same building, working, collaborating on a daily basis with other educators across the district is a significant benefit for our staff. Also, from the perspective of collaboration in our space, we know that our student support services, our response to intervention, our OT/PT, our special education services, quite honestly, our teachers are doing a wonderful job in the spaces that they have, but the spaces are inadequate. And so this allows us to free up space so that we can have more appropriate, high quality instructional spaces for all of our students. And in many cases, some of our students that deserve and need that support more so than others. So we're excited about those facility adjustments that this will create. And another final feature of this plan allows for us to look at air conditioning in our buildings. We can't do that all at once. It will happen over time, but we know that safety and security and students being able to thrive in an appropriate, well-ventilated space is important. And so as we renovate all of our spaces within the buildings, as part of this project, HVAC and air conditioning will be added to those renovated spaces. So as I mentioned before, this is a multi-year plan that the board and the district leadership have put forth to our voters. You'll see it's broken up into 3 phases, phase 1, 2, and 3. With a successful capital project vote on December 10th, the earliest any of these reconfigurations would take place would be in the fall of 2028, when grade 5 would move to Ray, intermediate school or upper elementary school. That would be the earliest that we would be able to start to see some of these grade level reconfigurations. You'll then see in September of 2029, that would be the first opportunity for our 7th grade students to get onto our main campus as they would transition from Ray to a temporary location of Eldon Elementary School for a 2-year period prior to making their way to the Derby building in the September of 2031. And then finally, in September of 2034, either Eldon or Van Buren would have that complete transformation with complete renovation, and that would be ready for student occupancy, full student occupancy in September of 2034. So again, this is our multi-year phased approach, and we're going to get into what this looks like for the construction timeline for each of the buildings. So we'll start first with phase 1, based on the timing of when we get New York State Education Department approval and we are able to break ground in 25, 26. We're hopeful that we will be able to first start with adding the addition onto Ray Middle School so that we can move a whole nother grade level to that space. And so you'll see the work being done at Ray to the tune of $33 million will allow for approximately 23,000 square foot classroom addition, 23 new classrooms for that additional grade level. Also in phase one, you'll see work being done at Eldon Elementary School in Van Buren, two of our oldest buildings. Those buildings were built in the 1950s, cinder block walls, wooden roof structures. They are in desperate need of renovations and improvements in order to keep up with the times. And so there will be work done, infrastructure improvements and classroom renovations in both of those spaces. This graphic highlights the work that's being done at Ray with that classroom addition. So this portion of the screen here is the new classroom addition. It starts to wrap around the front entrance, that circle. The site work that's also included for our Ray work. This roadway that you see at the top of the screen was approved in a prior project in May of 2023. We have submitted that to the New York State Education Department. What is included in that prior project is just the base roadway to get to the parking lot here in the back. This work, what's included in this multi-year plan, is additional site work, which will allow for a more appropriate parent drop-off and separation of staff parking from the bus loop and student drop-off. There's also site work being done at Van Buren Elementary School with a parent drop-off. We're confined with the space that we have there, which doesn't allow for much room to grow, but we are working to make that happen with a new parent drop-off for students in that building. Also in phase one, we are working with classroom renovations at Reynolds Elementary School, Palmer Elementary School, and McNamara Elementary School, all to the tune of around $10,000 to $11,000 or $1 million in all three of those spaces. What I would like to point out for our school community is the fact that even though it's listed as a pre-K renovation, a pre-K renovation is the same type of classroom that we have for a kindergarten classroom or a first grade classroom. It's a primary age classroom. We get more aid for renovating pre-K because it's a new initiative here in the state, and so therefore we're going to renovate those spaces. But I just want to make it clear, it does not mean that those spaces will only be held for UPK classrooms. They will also address the learning needs of kindergartners, first graders, et cetera, within those buildings. One of the other areas that we're trying to address with our classroom renovations at the elementary level is to make sure that there is a dedicated bathroom in each of the classroom spaces, which is important for those younger learners who might need some additional assistance as they work within those spaces. This is an example of what a UPK classroom will look like when the renovations are complete within all of our elementary spaces. See much larger classrooms. There's another view of that UPK classroom. What is unique, because we're moving grade levels out of those elementary spaces, it allows us to expand our footprint. When these buildings were built, the requirements for square footage, they weren't the same. They're not the same as they are today. And so we know that students need more space, teachers need more space in order to make our learning classrooms more flexible for our students. Some of the site work that's being done at Reynolds, we are continuing to do work in the front for additional parking and parent drop-off, as well as a complete separation of the bus loop. In a most recent project, we added this additional roadway, but in this work, we continue our plan and we completely separate bus traffic from parent pickup, drop-off, and staff parking, which makes it a much safer arrival and exit for our students and for our staff. That same work, a similar work, is happening at Palmer in this plan. You'll see a dedicated parent drop-off and a reconfiguration of that front bus loop circle for student arrival. You'll also see in this site work some renovations, which we'll highlight later for an additional expansion in phase 3 of a gymnasium at Palmer. So all that work is in phase 1 of this project. Phase 2, we are able to address work being done at Durkee, that additional grade level expansion of a second floor added to the front of Durkee Junior High School. And this was work that was initially in a proposal that was going to go out to voters in May of 2022, but this project was scaled back. And so we are now able to address in this multi-year plan the expansion allowing 7th grade to be in that space. We addressed some other infrastructure improvements in phase 2 at Eldon to the tune of $4 million. This is a graphic that represents the second floor classroom addition to Durkee Junior High School. And if you've driven by Durkee anytime in recent days or months, Durkee does not look like that. And so with that second floor classroom addition, it will completely transform the look of Durkee Junior High School. You can see that there'll be additional parking added. I want to point out on this graphic, this is just representing additional parking. It does not mean that the additional parking will be in that location. This is just emphasizing the fact that we will need to add additional parking for the added staff and or visitors to that building. You'll also see highlighted in red here, or pink, the proposed addition. And then you'll notice other areas within this site work that are kind of highlighted as a blue. Those blue show or represent classroom renovations. And what we know is most unique about Durkee is when this work is complete, Durkee will essentially be a brand new building with the work that's going on currently in that space and what will be happening with this multi-year proposal. There will be some site work with reconstruction of the parking lot at Eldon Elementary School as a part of phase 2. And then there will be work at Baker High School. The primary work at Baker High School in phase 2 will be some additional parking and road reconstruction. And then I'm going to highlight Pelcher R. Carroll Stadium. Pelcher R. Carroll Stadium was, turf was put in that stadium back in the 2016 school year. It was ready for athletes to participate in 2017. That track was also resurfaced. Given the life expectancy of all-weather tracks and turf, we will need to come back to that stadium to replace the turf and the all-weather track. And you'll see that this work won't be happening until the 28-29 school year. And so when you think about the life expectancy, if we can get a little bit more time out of that, we certainly will. But we know at the earliest, we would potentially have to address those needs in the 28-29 school year. So this $10 million does allow us to resurface the stadium turf and the track. Also, moving on now to phase 3. In phase 3, we come back to Ray. The reason we're coming back to Ray in phase 3 is that we are trying to maximize our use of state aid. And so every 5 years, our state aid, essentially our maximum cost allowances, regenerate. And so it will have been 5 years since we started in phase 1. So we're taking advantage of that work, and we're going back to Ray to the tune of $19 million to address the rest of the renovations in that building. And so when everything is all done at Ray will also be considered a new building when the renovations are complete. You'll see additional work at Eldon or Van Buren, allowing us to address the portions of the building that are still left to be renovated so that they meet building standards that are consistent with today's type of construction. We go back to Reynolds for additional work, ceiling replacement, window replacement, and some HVAC work in all of those classrooms. Also, here's an example of an Eldon classroom renovation. similar to the look of the pre-K classrooms. What I want to point out is the flexibility with this portable divider that allows us to expand the learning spaces. So we have larger classrooms for staff and student use. Phase 3, there's a lot of work happening at Baker High School to the tune of $37 million, technology, STEAM, classroom renovations, and what is a portion of the building that has not been touched in many, many years. There also be replacing windows, floors, ceilings, and doing some roof replacements. Palmer Elementary School in McNamara also have some significant work in Phase 3 with a classroom and gymnasium renovation. Both of those buildings have the smallest gymnasiums out of any space within the district, and they're just, to be quite honestly, they're not appropriate for the size of the students that we have in the instructional program. So we would be looking to expand those gymnasiums to be considered full-size gymnasiums, which could be utilized for some of our feeder programs and other clubs and organizations that support our students and our student athletes across the district. This is a rendering of a Baker Technology classroom renovation in the proposed work. This is an example of what the gymnasium will look like at both Palmer and at McNamara. And then a space with the cafeteria renovations, which are also part of Phase 3 work at both Mac and at Palmer. So what does this mean for our taxpayers? So the total project will equal $242 million, but bringing it back down to what is important for our taxpayers to know, what I've been sharing with our community is the fact that when all is said and done, we are spending, local taxpayers, $14.5 million to get $242 million worth of work. And so when you think about that over the course of the 20 years of this project, what does it mean for a homeowner that has a home assessed at $250,000? And what we do know is that the first impact that homeowners would see would be in the 28-29 school year, and it's a 10 cents per thousand increase. That is assuming there's no additional growth in our community, which we know that there is residential growth and business growth. And so for a home that's assessed at $250,000, that means it's a $25 increase beginning in the 28-29 school year. And when you take into consideration what this means for some of our homeowners that have the STAR exemption or the enhanced STAR exemption, you'll see from this graphic here, over the life of the entire project, and I apologize that this is in the way for those that are here, when you look at that same home that's assessed at $250,000, if you receive the basic STAR, which I believe is the majority of our homeowners within our school community, and your home's assessed at $250,000, the total impact over that 20-year period is only $84.90. So if you divide that up, the yearly cost is approximately $4.25. Now somebody might say, well, that doesn't make sense because you just told me that it was a $25 increase. But what is unique, if I go back to the previous slide, is that this increase is phased in over a 6-year period. This graphic that you see here takes into consideration the overall project financing over the term of the project. So there's a 6-year period where there's that 10 cents per thousand. But if we're looking at it from the perspective of what it means for the entire project cost to our homeowners, this chart really represents that more clearly. And when you think about some of our seniors and those eligible to have the Enhanced STAR program, the impact is even less. $35.53 for a home that's assessed at $250,000 over the term of this 20-year financing plan. So we have a capital project website with a lot of information, Q&A, documents, graphics, all of the finer details, similar to what was put in our hive. We would encourage our community to reach out to take a look at that capital project. We have some great videos that our students have helped create that really explain this project in a way that makes it easy for our community to understand. Our capital project vote is on December 10th, as I mentioned earlier, from 6 to 9 p.m. in our district's operations building, which is the same location that we utilize for our annual school budget and Board of Education elections. So we would encourage all of our community to come out and to vote and to help us enhance our hive next week on Tuesday, December 10th. I also think it's important before we open it up for questions to kind of highlight some of the work that's ongoing, because our community has been very supportive, and part of this long-range, multi-year plan does take into consideration the work that voters have already authorized us to pursue. And so what I would like to do right now is to highlight some of the work that's ongoing as part of our bigger picture and vision for this district. You'll see here, this is a rendering of the new Baker High School athletic entrance and pool with our new gymnasium that was approved by voters in May of 2023. We have submitted this work to the New York State Education Department, and we are anticipating approval within the next month or so that we can go out to bid and break ground late this spring, early this summer. Here's a rendering of what that new pool will look like at Baker High School, as well as the rendering of the gymnasium, which will be named after Coach Leo Johnson once this is complete. We have work that's ongoing at Derby Junior High School. This is an actual graphic of our Baker High School cafeteria that was renovated quite a few years ago, but you'll see in the work that's being done at Derby that we are looking for similar configuration in our work that's happening. This project was approved by voters in May of 2022. Here's a look of what some of our new technology, family and consumer science, and business classrooms will look like at Derby Junior High School, also based on work that was approved by voters in May of 2022. There's a look at what some of our collaborative and breakout spaces will look like within all of our buildings. Again, you'll see flexibility in the type of furniture as well as the partitions that help us separate classroom spaces and or open up classroom spaces as we need and see fit. Some more examples of technology, facts, and business classrooms. Actually, I think I just went backwards, I apologize. There's some more collaborative breakout spaces. And there is a rendering of the new multi-purpose turf field for athletics and fine and performing arts, our baseball and softball teams, that is under construction on our main campus. I will say that our construction team is ahead of schedule, and we are hopeful that our spring teams will be able to compete at least one contest. We're saying one contest, but we're hopeful that there might be more than one contest because they're ahead of schedule. And we're excited about all that our students are going to be able to experience with those new turf fields, both for athletics, for fine arts, and also for our physical education classes. So again, there's the reminder. Don't forget to vote on December 10th. I will at this time open it up for any questions that members of our community have regarding this project or this vote. Yes?
Can you do this all with one architect? Or do you have
Yes.
multiple architects?
The question for those that are on the virtual call here, the question was, can we do this with all one architect? Yes. So what we're very fortunate at this point. Some of the preliminary work has been designed, the renderings that you see on the graphics, the plan, the financing plan and help in creating the scope of this work has been created through one of our partners, King Architects, which is a firm that has worked for many years with the Board of Education and this district. And so at this point, we have every intention of continuing that partnership. And they have the ability with their staffing to do this work. And the fact that we're phasing it allows them time to prioritize too what has to happen first, that they're able to get accomplished. So pending a successful vote on December 10th, they'll start on December 11th with the more detailed work that will begin, so that we can submit the plans for the addition at Ray as soon as possible to the State Education Department, because we need to begin that work. Yep. Other questions? Before I officially close the hearing, I do want to thank many of the members of our school community who have provided feedback along the way. We've had a focus group that's worked with district leadership to put forward all of the promotional information that has been sent to our school community. And so I want to thank them publicly for all of the work that they've done in helping us share this information with our school community. I'd also like to thank the many community members and staff members who have participated on our committees. The committee that first started this work in just prior to COVID in 2018-19, our Funding the Future Committee, as well as our Funding Improvements and Building the Future Committee that finished up their work last year with the same recommendations that are being sent out to our voters. So this certainly all would not have been possible if it were not from the support of the current Board of Education as well as previous boards in laying the groundwork for this multi-year plan. So thank you to our school community, and we look forward to hopefully a successful vote to enhance our Hive on December 10th. Thank you, and go Bees.